Hi, welcome to another Power Blast podcast. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. 500th episode, and Tony Horton is in the house. Let's get to that call right now. So, Tony, thanks so much for coming on the 500th episode of Power Blast podcast. It's so awesome.
Well, I feel honored, my man.
Well, at least they didn't wait till like the 1000th one. I mean, we'd be like another 9 years older.
Yeah, no, that's true. Oof.
Who knows what the technology would have been there? You would have been here like in a hologram or something.
Yeah, I could have hologram right next to you. We could have arm wrestled.
That's right. I would have taken the other arm.
Yeah, the Anand biceps torn one. Yeah.
That's right. But so cool. Yeah, we have known each other since the Power 90 days. When the Coach Network came out, I decided to do a podcast once a week, thinking that might last for a couple of months because I'd run out of topics. But we are just looking at helping others, paying it forward, talking about new Beachbody products, programs, you in many of them, personal development, and still it goes on and on and on for episode 500. So thank you so much for being on here.
You are welcome, my friend. And we've had a nice little journey together. A lot of people are sort of new to Beachbody, and some shockingly are sort of new to even me because maybe they came in with Sean T or Autumn Calabrese or some other trainer of ours. And, it's funny, at Summit this year, with 22-minute hardcore coming out, there it is. There were a lot of people who had never even didn't know what Power 90 or P90X even was. Maybe they had heard of those things. But really, hardcore was the first program that I ever did. And so it was fun to meet, first-time fans at Summit and other places as well. So the beat goes on. I've been with Beachbody now for 17 years, and a lot has transpired, and you've had a nice little evolution, and you did use P90X as a program to help you get through a very difficult time. And it's just nice to see that, you are like a little mini me of sorts, right? You figured it out, you stuck with it, you used fitness and P90X through hard times, and it helped you become a mentor for other people. And that's kind of what it's all about. I just finished this course with Brendan Bouchard. I was in Portland for 4 days shooting the course, and I was in Phoenix yesterday promoting it. And it's personal development, like my last book, The Big Picture, is personal development. And it's funny, and I was talking to Brendan yesterday, what came up was, my start was in personal development. I was not I didn't come out of the box just an athlete or a trainer. I was exercising, purely to sort of look better, not with the sense of it was going to help my mental and emotional state or my financial state or my relationships, and those types of things. It wasn't about that. It was just about looking good, which I think a lot of people still do, obviously. But there was a lot of personal development that happened before I was able to do that. And then here I am sort of full circle back doing personal development again, because I understand that it has to be sort of a combination of all those things. It has to be the diet. It has to be the proper supplements. It has to be regular exercise. It has to be, having a purpose, having a plan, checking to see if there's progress, if you have balance in your life, these types of things. And they're just, when you learn the basics, like if you look at the 11 laws that are in the book, The Big Picture, I think anybody who reads it, it's not like 90% of what they're reading they haven't heard of. It's just they're not practicing these things on a regular basis. It's kind of like exercise and diet and sleep and paying your bills. This is stuff that you have to do consistently to not only survive but to thrive, right? And most people are just stuck in that survival mode for decades. And the thought of thriving just seems so alien and so impossible. And for other people who are, not them, that they feel like they can't, it's unobtainable, but it's not true. I mean, it's a formula.
Mm-hmm.
It's a formula of going from point A to point B to point C, just like it is for school, first grade, second grade, third grade. We all did it once. We can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is it prevents people our age from aging at the regular pace that most people do. I mean, I turned 58. I'm 58 and a half. And, pushing 60 here. And, if you go on YouTube or you go on my Facebook page or whatever, you can see the pegboard still seems pretty easy. Ropes still seem pretty easy. And plyo still seems pretty easy for me. And nothing's changed. And it really is about consistency, So, if you are what you practice and you are what you preach and you are the people you hang around, and you are your level of optimism and or pessimism, and that's what you are. And so change is hard, but change is good. And if you know that and you're okay with that and you believe that and you have faith in that, then, you know, you can rock and roll for a long time. I don't know what 59 and 60 and 61 and 65 will bring. Probably a few more wrinkles, you know, whatever, and skin that doesn't look the way it did when I was in my 20s. But I know what the inside's doing. The inside's kicking ass. So I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing.
That's cool. Well, and you talked about the personal development stuff with, you know, you having that kind of before that. For me, it was totally different. Well, I wanted to be, you know, happy and stuff like that. I think just finally making the decision and getting the exercise done, there was a little confidence shift, and it just led to other things, to wanting to be better. Things just kind of clicked into place a lot more because of the health. And, you know, I wasn't feeling sluggish, and I wasn't feeling like, I think more opportunities grew out of that, and I wasn't feeling like I was just a victim, you know, and drama seemed to become less. And I think a lot of the laws that, you know, I'm halfway through your book, and I'm reading these and going, yeah, that's totally it. And so I really appreciate you talking about that.
Well, you know what a lot of people don't realize, and you know, unless you've sort of studied this a little bit more, but I'm here to tell you, and you've experienced it just sort of on your own, is that when you eat better and you exercise, you're just more consistent about the areas of your life where you want to grow and change and improve. You know, when you're overweight, you're overwhelmed. And that's just all that's just brain chemistry. That's just body chemistry. That's just science. You know, there's just a lack of dopamine, epinephrine, serotonin, you know, brain-derived neurotropic factor. These are all the things that occur inside of your noggin when you breathe heavy. You can breathe heavy with country heat or CVX or insanity or whatever, you know, CrossFit or 5K. You know what I mean? The human body is designed to move, and the more often it moves, the better that the brain just functions better. And so, you know, it's sort of like, oh, maybe that was just luck that all of a sudden I felt like I was less sluggish and more apprehensive. And when I started exercising, I was not those two things anymore. I was somebody who felt like trying things and being more productive and interacting with other people and being less fearful and having more courage. And that's the beautiful thing. And here's the beauty of it. It doesn't require more education. It doesn't require you to go to advanced placement courses at the local community college. It just doesn't. It just naturally happens as a result of more oxygen in your blood from exercising hard. And when you learn this and you know it to be true, and because, you know, there's we want to generalize everything, right? We want everything to apply to everybody, so all the answers are simple. And that's not the case. Some people are older, some are younger, some have certain cultures, some are athletic, some have two left feet, you know, some live at altitude, some have more humidity, some have, you know, different biorhythms. There's just so many things in our lives that don't make for easy solutions for everybody. But what is one universal truth, regardless of what stage you're at, what age you're at, what altitude you live at, what level of stress is, how many kids, how many you don't, whether you're divorced or single or Muslim or Christian or whatever the hell you are. If you exercise and eat right, you're just going to have a better outlook. You're going to have a better outlook. You're just going to want to kind of charge more and take care of business more and not be as fearful. And that's why, you know, when I was in the early stages of just sort of exercising to look good and then working on personal development, little did I know that those two things were the glue to becoming what I am today. And so here I am, you know, 35 plus years of training people and 17 years with Beachbody, and I'm somehow still relevant. I mean, if you look at my demographic of the people who buy my programs, they're between the ages of 24 and 35. I mean, I'm 58. Like, why are 24 and 35-year-olds the bulk of the population that are buying my program? Because I make it fun, because I'm youthful, because I can, you know, I look a little bit younger than 58, like 56 and a half. And so that's all good. And I make it palatable for people. I'm not a drill sergeant. I don't treat it like rocket science or make you feel like you can't do things. You know, I like to be all inclusive because I know what it's like to feel like you can't, you know, run up and down a basketball court or lift very much weight. I was there. I was never overweight, but I was an ectomorph. I was a skinny kid with a lot of body fat who looked okay in clothing but couldn't physically do much. And I didn't discover this stuff till later in life, and a lot of people know that. So they go, oh, geez, well, I'm 35, 40, 50, 55 years old, and look at that guy, and he used to be a loser. So, you know, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of deciding and surrounding yourself with the right people. Like, you've been really good at that. You know, you're immersed in the culture, in the coaching community. You've got a lot of friends, a lot of support, and a lot of people don't have that. And when you don't, it's just harder. It just really is harder. I mean, my wife, Shauna, is super supportive. She does her thing. I do mine. She has her crew that she works out with. We hike occasionally together, but I have my crew. We just came into an agreement as how it's going to work for each one of us. And a lot of people are just butting heads, you know what I mean, with the people around them. They don't get that kind of support, so it's harder for them. So, you know, kudos to the person who gets up alone in the dark at 4:30 in the morning, just plow in their basement in Minnesota when it's like 49 degrees down there. And they get through that miserable hour, and then they get up, you know, then they shower, feed their kids, and go to work. Like, that is world class. If my 5 buddies don't show up tonight, I'm not working out. You know what I mean? I just know who I am. But I make sure that they always show up. I invite 14, so at least 2 or 3 come, and sometimes all 14 show up. So it's just simple stuff, man. And I really, really encourage anybody who's watching in and looks at you and looks at me. You know, I would imagine a lot of your fans and friends that are here, you know, listening to this kind of get it already, but what I notice is they don't get it, and they don't keep it, and they don't sustain it, you know, for decades. You know what I mean? There's sort of this up and down and all around, and that's actually, in my opinion, worse than having never discovered this lifestyle, because you just feel that much more disappointed, because you know what you can do, and you know what you can be, and you know how you can feel, and you know how productive you can be, and you know how great your sex drive can be, and you know how well you can sleep at night, and you just feel like you're on top of the world. And to have those memories from 6 months ago or a year and a half ago, and know that you let it all go away and you got to start from scratch again. Oh, like when I've been injured, I've torn my biceps tendon, and I had oral surgery about a month and a half ago where I couldn't work out for 6 days. And on the 6th day, I thought I was going to murder an entire neighborhood. I was just out of my mind. On top of that, being incredible pain. I mean, everything had to be eaten through a straw. It was a nightmare. And, but you know, 6 days without exercise. I was supposed to be 8, but on the 6th day I said, screw it, man. I'm going for a big, long hike and see what happens, you know. And after that hike, I thought there was a 180-degree shift in my mental state. Sure, I broke a sweat. Sure, I did some stuff from my heart, lungs, and legs. But it was what happened up here, man, just purely because I got off my ass. And so that's the beauty of it. And so for those of you that are looking at Perry and I, and you know, wondering what this is all about, it's just being consistent with it, man. It's everything. You got to be consistent with all other aspects of your life just to kind of get through it. But if you want more, this is the same thing. It can't be 3 days a week. Don't even do it 3 days a week, because you're going to feel like crap the other 4. You know what I mean? You're just going to end up with exercise bipolar disorder. Nobody wants that.
So true. I mean, you even think about the consistency stuff. You came up with a 10-minute trainer. Now, I know for a lot of people that's like a hard buy-in to go, 10 minutes really. But I've had people join our groups and phenomenal results because of that consistency of, you know, and it's turned so many lives around. But man, it's,
you know what 10-minute trainer says to people. Like, you can poo-poo it because you believe that 10 minutes isn't enough. But if you look at the program, we eventually try to get you to go to 20 and 30, right? Not necessarily back to back to back, but maybe spread them out throughout the day. So at least you get your 30 minutes in or your 20 minutes in. All right, but we just want you to start with 10. And so anybody who believes in you know, because those routines are hard, man. They're like a little sprint, you know. They're not easy. You're go, go, go. There's no reason why. There's just a quick explanation next, bang, bang, bang. You're doing 10 exercises in 10 minutes. And so that's bound to do something, because 10 minutes is always better than 0. And when you buy into it, right, you understand it, and then you still don't do it, that just means you don't care. You just don't care. You despise exercise on every level. The thought of sweating, the thought of being out of breath, the thought of not being able to keep up, the thought of comparing yourself with others or the past or how you hope to look in the future. Do your best and forget the rest, man. Like, whenever you got a mind full of goo, do your best and forget the rest. Just do your best. Yeah, but do your best, forget the rest. Yeah, but do your best, forget the rest. Yeah, but I really got to do your best, forget the rest. You know, I tore my bicep tendon. I missed a day. You know what I mean? I had oral surgery. By the 6th day, I did what the doctor said. But, you know what I mean? You do your best, and you turn off that mind chatter that is keeping you from having an awesome life. And so whether it's 10-minute trainer or P90X or 22-minute hardcore or T25 or 21-day fix, it's not like we don't give people enough options. Holy smokes, you know. And I think that the hard thing is that when you're in a rut and you're overweight and you're unhappy, and it's been that way, it seems like for a lifetime or for decades, the thought of an exercise turning that around almost doesn't seem real. It just seems too easy. It doesn't seem real. But the chemistry, that's why people meditate. People who meditate quite often, who aren't exercise folks, meditate purely for the reason of just, changing their way their brain works, because oxygen is a pretty powerful tool.
Now, I know, we were talking a little bit about the age thing. I know getting older is inevitable, but aging is optional, and so I'm so proud of my folks, because they're in their mid-70s or early to mid-70s. And they, just over the years, just my dad using Shakeology, I gave him a VHS tape called Tony and the Folks way back when. You may have know the guy that was trainer on there.
Oldie but goodie.
Oldie but goodie. And that led to other things, walking and stuff like that. But over the years, and this is just the consistency thing, 70 pounds. Didn't happen in a year, but we just did side-by-side pics the other day, and I'm like, wow. But we've got a lot of boomers out there, that are, one of the mottos that I have, and I always end this podcast with, remember, it's never too late. Well, as people are now going, man, I don't want to go the medicine route, or in my parents' case, Medicare was sucking them dry with diabetes medications or breast cancer medication, et cetera. Are you looking to always just kind of create some workouts or things for that? Or what are your views on what people can do? I know yoga is one of them.
Well, if you really look at, it's easy for me. My expression that aging is for idiots. A lot of people get offended by that. I'm not calling anybody an idiot because they're aging. There's much more to that statement. It's just sort of a fun little, what's the word I want to use? Irreverent statement that tries to get people to open up their eyes. And what I'm really trying to say is aging in the traditional manner is for people who aren't willing to sort of explore, learn, educate, inspire themselves to do something that's different than what everybody else does who ages at the normal rate. But that just looks like crap on a t-shirt, right? So, but what I'm saying there is, there's biological age and there's numerical age. And of course, 58 turns into 59. I'm still aging numerically. But biologically, I'm aging at a much slower rate. I think the last time I had a test, you can do a test with the bone density and heart, lung capacity and brain teasers and whatever. There's this thing I did about, 10 years ago. I was 47, 48 at the time, and I came out to be 32 biologically. So that was cool. At 58, I'm probably,
20.
40. I don't know, maybe I'm even younger than I was. But in some respects, I feel like I am. And so what it really comes down to, what aging comes down to is there's two categories of people. People who can continue to live large. People who can do fun things. I can go biking and hiking and rock climbing and skiing. For me, it's heli skiing and, doing handstands and physical feats, you know what I mean? And a physical feat is something as simple as going on a 35-minute hike. And there's everybody else who can't physically do anything anymore. So they have to entertain themselves in another way, via the television set or their laptop or their phone or whatever it is, or their kids or grandkids or something. And they just live a smaller life. And so they're looking through a pinhole. And then what ends up happening is that obviously that when you're physically not able to experience a lot of things, your perspective changes, and your perspective is usually that of somebody who, is sort of a curmudgeon, sort of depressed, sort of anxious, sort of fearful, and that comes from the physical first. And nutrition. Nutrition is health, and exercise is fitness, and you want to have both. It really depends. Some people just eat really clean and they're vegan and they're skinny and they like looking good at parties and they're not really, they don't want to hike, they don't want to bike, they don't want to physically do anything. And maybe they'll live a long-ish life. Climbing a set of stairs is probably a pain in the butt. And touching their toes is hard, and tying their shoes might not be easy, and their back's aching, their knees aching, their neck aches, and their whatever, and they, whatever, they have the lung capacity of a, a 16-year-old mouse with hepatitis C. I don't know what it is, but but they look good and they might live a long time. But is it about longevity? I mean, it's about quality of life, plain and simple. It's always about quality of life. It's about how you feel in your brain and your body and your skin right here, right now. You feel like you're vibrant. You feel like you're alive. You feel like you're connected. You don't feel fearful as much. You want to try things that are difficult for you, but you're not afraid because when you're in teens or 20s, you couldn't do it before. So, your skin's going to change and your hair is going to, look at me. I still have brown hair. It's a miracle. This is why I'm wearing a hat, Perry. Look at that thing today. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I got a little gray here. You know what I mean? But would my hair be grayer, or would I have lost more, or would I have more gray here if I'd been a cigarette smoking alcoholic with 30 pounds overweight?
Right, stop.
No, you're still handsome. But I'm just saying, a lot of this is genetics. Both my parents on their deathbed had more brown hair than gray. So I have that to thank them. But, there's all kinds of things that we get all hung up on. You don't get hung up on that kind of stuff. How old are you now?
52.
See, but look at you, man. Your skin looks amazing. Your eyes look bright. You got the physique of a guy 25 years younger than you. So you're doing all the right things. You know what I mean? So, but we get really caught up in all the wrong stuff. And sometimes, you start, I have a friend of mine, my wife's maid of honor, did X3. Now she's doing 22-minute hardcore, just kept losing and losing and losing. And her husband was just kind of watching, you know what I mean? He goes, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. He started with 10-minute trainer, and then he went right to 22-minute hardcore, did a little X3 in between. The guy's got an 8-pack off the chain. Jeffrey, he looks insane. And it wasn't even his intention. He just sort of, oh, well, I wanted my wife's doing it. I might as well do it too. You know what I mean? That's why he came into the fray. But I would just tell people, hey, look, man, time keeps on ticking into the future. So deal with it any way you can. And look, you want to get some Botox, freaking get some Botox. You want to get some hair dye, get some hair dye. You want to get some fillers, get some fillers. Anybody that has an opinion about that stuff is just whatever. Leave people alone. Some people go too far. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, they don't even look like themselves anymore. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Once you start, it's like with people who start bodybuilding, you know what I mean? I feel bad for a lot of people who just, especially our age, these guys that want to get bigger and bigger and bigger for what? And it puts stresses on their tendons, puts stress on their bones, puts stress on their organs and their heart and their lungs, and they get high blood pressure. You know what I mean? And they're taking all these supplements that their late 40s, 50s, 60-year-old bodies just can't handle. And, whatever. They'll learn, when something breaks, or hopefully not when they have a heart attack or something. But I see a lot of that, And for me, I have a slack line in my backyard. I have a rope in my backyard. I have a pegboard. I have parallel bars. I was doing swing handstands. I go to yoga every Saturday because for me, we're trying to chase the fountain of youth in some areas of our life. And for me, it's speed, balance, and range of motion. You're going to get the balance from yoga. You're going to get the range of motion from yoga. You're going to get learning to be present in an uncomfortable position in yoga. That's why yoga is in every one of my programs except for hardcore. It'll certainly be in my next one when the next one comes out. You just couldn't get it all in hardcore. But yoga is the fountain of youth. It's the reason why finally Beachbody has decided to jump on the 3-week retreat with Ted McDonald and some of the others. And it's doing great. It's going gangbusters. And I'm really
fantastic program. Those trainers are, wow. That's so impressed me. I've actually got a group starting this coming Sunday with that. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
It's great. And we're expanding, we've got Core to Force now with Joel and Jericho, and there's a lot of new neat stuff coming out, and I'm really excited for our coaches and our fans, and our consumers. So there really are no excuses. And the thing is that there's no other company of our kind. We used to have competition and we don't. We're like AT&T or GE now, fitness. We're just bigger, badder, better than everybody else, especially with Beachbody On Demand, So, it's really neat. So aging happens. Just work out 5 to 6 days a week and eat good. Drink some Shakeology. You'll be all right.
No doubt. Yeah. For one thing, happy anniversary to you guys.
Yes, 1 year and 3 days, my friend.
So happy for you guys. I saw those pictures.
Really good.
And congratulations on the Jack LaLanne Award. That was like so cool.
Yeah, man. It's proudly sitting up on my desk, you know, and it's amazing because, you know, when I was a kid and I watched my grandmother and mother work out to Jack LaLanne, and I just think, wow, I couldn't do any of that stuff that he could do, even on a chair. He had a chair and a milk bottle, and he could do anything. And I still can't do a lot of the things that he could do, because he was absolute. I don't think he had a pain threshold. I don't even think he felt pain. You know, he did 1,033 push-ups in a row on live TV, which is just, what? I did 110 once, okay? 1,033. I mean, anybody looking in, let me see a video of you do 200 in a row. That would be pretty impressive. So he was a freak, and he was amazing. And I spent a lot of time at the at IDEA, you know, here in LA, and you know, the big annual health conference. And I spent hours and hours with Elaine LaLanne, Jack's wife, 93 years old, and she's like hanging out with a really hip, cool, strong 72-year-old. You know what I mean? I mean, she's just amazing. And we hope to get up. She's invited my wife and I up to her place to stay in her guest house, and she wants to give me a bunch of Jack LaLanne stuff. We'd be like, oh my God, I've started my own Jack LaLanne museum, because he was such a star. And anybody who's looking in, like, I'll say Jack LaLanne, I'll say that name 9 times out of 10. People have no idea who he is. And he's the godfather of fitness. I mean, he was, and I think the reason why I got the award is because he was the first person to introduce health and fitness and exercise into people's homes. And I've been pretty successful at that as well. And, you know, it's neat because when her son, John, and Elaine say that I embody her husband more than any other trainer they've ever met, it's like, oh my God, here's the mic, dude. I'm dropping the mic, you know. I'm done. It's neat. So that's really cool. And thank you.
You bet. And speaking of our network and things that have happened, I mean, things really blew up with P90X. And I mean, what's your, I mean, it's surreal or what, with the coach network that's gone on, and with how many people have gotten just the insane results from the home workouts of things that you and the crew created.
Hey, look, if anybody doesn't know my story, I was training Bruce Springsteen and Billy Idol and Tom Petty and Annie Lennox and Sean Connery and Shirley MacLaine. And I had this neat little gig, but I lived in a little shack of an apartment with a view of a convalescent home. And that was good enough, you know, but I was also working on my acting, you know, so I was getting pretty good in front of a camera and pretty good doing these scenes. And I did improv comedy and did stand-up comedy. And, you know, I was just getting comfortable that way. I never knew that two things would merge. And as a result of the two things merging after having met Carl, we did Great Body Guaranteed and Power 90. You know, I was getting these royalty checks that got me out of that apartment and into a nice little home. And my first home ever, and got out of debt, all those beautiful things. And then you know, nobody recognized me. Nobody knows who I was. And then you start walking to the airport or walking to the grocery store, and you get people just, you know, stopping you. It's a weird. There's no course in how to deal with fame, you know. And I'm a C- celebrity. Let's face it. I'm not, you know, but the difference about what I do is that I change lives as opposed to Brad Pitt or George Clooney or whatever, Jim Carrey. They make people laugh, or people enjoy their movies or TV shows or something. But with me, it's a little different because it feels more, there's a stronger connection because it's every day. You know what I mean? People walk up, do this, people do this. You know what I mean? They do this one, they do this one. And so it's different, but it's awesome. And I'm always the first one yesterday I'm back from Phoenix, and some people at the airport came up and said hello. And I'm just thrilled that the people are making the choice, and it makes me feel amazing. And when you look at the coaching thing, I mean, should we not? I don't know. If it's kind of weird, multi-level marketing. It's this whole, you know, pyramid scheme thing. Is that going to make, you know, there was a lot of early, a lot of early negative talk about that, you know, amongst us, about, you know, our community, our fans and stuff. And so we just thought it was another way, because, you know, the infomercial business is not easy. It's getting harder and harder. There's like 5 trillion channels. People are on their phones, on their laptops and computers, and people have remotes where they can fire through anything, you know, I mean, pretty quickly. So the formula is much more difficult, you know, in an infomercial. And it just seemed like the right thing to do. And thank God, you know, Carl was the mastermind behind taking that very tricky step, and it's worked out beautifully. And you know, the funny thing is, there are coaches now that are more consistent because of the, they can have challenge packs and support groups and webinars. And there's so many, there's some that focus a lot more on fitness and some a lot more on, selling Shakeology or whatever their raison d'etre is as a coach. But in the end, the people are healthier, they're fitter, they're stronger, they're more financially secure. I mean, there are several coaches that are multimillionaires, man. And I don't know how the hell they do it. I don't know how they do it, but there's just some people that just figure out that formula. We got the internet figured out. They got their YouTube stuff figured out. And they're just tenacious as hell because they see the growth and they go, I want more and more and more. So there's that too, and it keeps the brand growing and it keeps interest up, and products like Shakeology, you know what I mean? Darren O'Lean and Carl's wife, Isabel, just made an amazing thing. I mean, they just really made an amazing thing. And the Shakeology stories, they're head scratchers. You go, what? 80% of your psoriasis is gone? What? Your diabetes is gone. Your irritable bowel syndrome is gone. It's just, it's because, what's happening with Shakeology, it is such a massive influx of incredible organic ingredients that have just never been in people's bodies before. So it just it's like a form of just flushing out the poison, and it's not cheap because it can't be, but if you understand that, either you pay now or you pay later, I'd rather, set aside the cost of paying for a bag of Shakeology. Plus, as you become a coach, there's all those discounts. There's so many, things that you can do. And, with all those challenge packs that people sell, there's more and more opportunities to save a lot of money. So, and I'm just amazed by it. I'm amazed by it. It's incredible. And, whatever. I don't know how many we had at Summit this year, 26,000 or something like that. I mean, sitting up on stage and just looking, it was just miles of people, 2 feet apart for miles, and it's such a blast. Who would have thought, so it's super exciting. And, Vegas couldn't hold us. Nashville couldn't hold us. Now we got to go to New Orleans in the summertime. I don't know what that's going to be. Outside, we're going to have like 500 heart attacks. It's going to be too humid. But hopefully we'll do it early enough in the morning, that workout. But it continues to grow and lives continue to improve. And I'm just along for the ride, man.
Oh, man. Well, you're a great passenger to have along for this.
I'll pilot this thing. I'll be Carl's co-pilot any day, baby.
That's right, man. It's just so fun and so awesome. And yeah, all those different events. I was at that first summit, and just being able.
How many of us were there? What were there? 500 of us? Or?
No, I think there was about 270-ish or something like that. But I remember having a video camera and walking in and out of your workout, because I wanted to show people this cool thing. I got to finally be there live and walking up and filming Shalene and Sean T and seeing you and shaking hands and, getting little selfies in there. Now you guys got entourages and stuff, and you have to. And, it's just mind-blowing how it's grown in the popularity, and it's.
Well, with it comes, access to more people, helping more people, but there's a lot more bumps in the road, you know what I mean? I wish I could just sort of walk out of my room and go shake hands. And I do anyway, screw it. You know what I mean? They don't like when I do that. But there's all this protocol. And then, of course, there's so many moving parts. And that team that does that over the summer, I mean, as soon as the summit's over, they get like a week of rest and they get right back into getting ready for the next one. It's such it's amazing job with Marisa Edwards and Barbara on my team and so many other people who are part of the events team. It's rock star stuff, Those coach events, the summit, I do 4 events a year. I'm heading up to Edmonton, Canada.
No, now we live down in Boise now. So we were in Calgary for a while, and I was there with you. And then I've actually considered going up to Edmonton in a few weeks. So
Edmonton is not next door, man. No. Edmonton is like as far away as LA to San Francisco. It's up there.
Yeah.
So I'll have to bring a nice warm coat. But yeah, these events are amazing because they're more intimate. Maybe they're 500 or 800 people, which is, I don't know, it's that intimate, but at least it's not 26,000, and you really get to shake hands and talk to people and do a little Q&A and do a hardcore workout. Those are nice. Those are fun to do.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Well, I know that you've got some great things coming out here. I know that with the podcast here and just people that I coach, a big part of what we do as coaches is this personal development, not only for ourselves, but to help other people become better humans, better people. And a lot of times people just get in their own way because of their mindset and stuff like that. And I know that you've got a new program that's coming out. I don't know if you want to tell our crew and the people on Facebook Live, we still got people there. Yeah, is anybody in there? I see you guys out there. But what do you have in the works here, and how can we get our hands on it?
Well, I mentioned Brendan Bouchard a little bit. A lot of you who don't know who Brendan Bouchard is, he's probably one of the top 3 online personal development coaches in the world. I mean, he does these huge events. He's got an event. If there's anybody in California, Arizona, New Mexico, I don't know if there's any spaces left. I've got 20, that's right, 21 of my friends going to Santa Clara, California, outside of Santa Cruz, I think. San Jose. My wife's back there. She knows what I'm up to. And it's called the Experts Academy. And he'll have, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 people at that thing. I think it's like $900 a person or something. It's 4-day intensive. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the end of October. And, Brendan's a fan of mine, which is kind of I have an advantage there. I met him through another mutual friend. And, he was doing P90X and 22-minute hardcore. He just got the hardcore. He's going to start that soon. And he said, I think, I've read your book. I think you should do your own personal development course. So we chatted for several months, kind of broke down what we thought it should be. And we took the book, the big picture, and there's 11 laws in there. We kind of broke it down into 6 categories or 6 lessons or 6 classes. And the classes are between 25 and 40 minutes long, and it really is. It's a sort of a get your head together, get going, get busy, because life's too short, and why not go after everything you want? It's called Living Large with Tony Horton. It'll be out in November. We do it, the big launch comes out in November, so you're going to see this hour-plus interview between Brendan and I, kind of talking about what it is, and at the very end, we ask you to kind of join in. So you'll be able to find that on my website, TonyHortonLife.com. And look for that in November. That's super exciting. And so, it's a lot like what Shalene does. It's a lot like what Tony Robbins does. It's just my way of saying to people, you got this thing, man. You know what you need to do. It's not that hard. You just kind of follow the rules. And this comes from the single laziest human being in the world. That's me. The kid with the C- student of speech impediment who didn't want to sleep till 11 o'clock every day because I just wanted him to, you know what I mean? So it's hard for me to get motivated. I'm not I don't jump out of bed and go, hey, it's 7:15. Let me do 24 sets of chest and back every day. I was never that guy, but I figured out the formula. I figured out the plan that even lazy people like me can accomplish a lot if it resonates. And I talk about balance in the course, the difference between charging hard and going after it, making the phone calls and emails and having the meetings and, really spending like an hour a day figuring out what you want to do. And then the other days where you just go, no, I don't care today. I'm not, but you have to schedule that day too, and not feeling like you got to burn the candle at both ends, because that's what happens to people. Feel like they've got to go, fight to win, and you don't have to, I mean, there are ways to really relax and enjoy yourself and meditate and hike and not feel guilty about just blowing off some steam. And you can ask my wife. I take midday naps. I don't always, but when I'm on a 6-city tour, getting up at the crack of dawn, or when I'm on a military tour, going from country to country, flying in helicopters and planes and trains and automobiles, I feel like I earn massive downtime. But, and that's what part of the course is about. It's like really teaching you how to maximize your time and also maximizing because life is short, man. I mean, if it's all work and no play, it's going to make you a dull boy, if you know what I'm saying. So there's that. And also, of course, is TH Care. Not everybody might know what TH Care is, but it is out. It is alive. It is well. It's a shampoo and body wash, and it's a face and body lotion spray. And you can go to Tony Horton Life, get you some right there. You can go to thcare.com and you can get it there. And the reviews on it are off the chain. It's a natural mix. It's nature and science. That's the way I like to call it. Here in California, we have Proposition 65. So it's manufactured here. It employs people here in the USA. We didn't want to have it made in, wherever, India or Pakistan or Vietnam or China. We wanted to make it here and employ people here. And I know the CEO of the company that's came up with the formula with me. And it's a unisex. And both men, like every time I wear it, my buddies will go, geez, man, you smell. Like we'll be doing plyo and it'll be windy and they can smell me. And I go, what are you wearing? I'm wearing THCare, dude. I gave you a bottle. You should wear it. He goes, oh my God, I got to start doing that. My friend David's always sniffing me. It's weird. But it's the reviews. If you go on my Facebook page, you can see the reviews for it and just try it. I mean, it's like $19. The bottle lasts forever. And it's really, really good stuff. Because, the stuff on sale, it's made in a factory and there's millions and it's all these solvents and all this, and the pH balance on it stinks in a lot of these things. And you can't figure out why you're so greasy or why you're so dry. It has a pH balance between 4.5 and 5.5, and that's universally kind of spot on for most people. Even if you're, albino or pitch black or old or young or a teenager with zits, it's our skin has that pH balance. And so we figured this stuff out, man. And the consistency is really, really cool. The viscosity and all those things. Like, look at me, I'm talking like how do I know? Because I had skin damage. I came out to California. I'm a white dude, and I figured I could burn myself. I was the brownest, sexiest man in the world for years, but I didn't know I was just destroying the layers and layers of skin beneath. And now, like, the sun is this evil monster that I try to avoid. I mean, I'm always sun blocking it now. And this stuff, I mean, I use it in my hair, I use it in my face, and right out of the shower when I'm only, towel dry, I cover my arms and legs, which is really most what the damage is. And I just, the skin is more supple, it's just less crepey, and at 58 years old, crepey. What the hell's up with crepey? And but it minimizes it, and it's great. So those are two things that are obviously 22-minute hardcore. Everybody knows about that. It's already out. If you haven't jumped on board yet, I was in Phoenix with the gal that introduced Sean and I. A woman, her name is Tamara. She's a coach, and she teaches bar method, and she's genetically very gifted. She's very athletic build, but she's 47 and was having some struggles, and bar method wasn't cutting it. And hardcore just ripped her up. She looks insane. I got a waist like this, you know what I mean? And she just feels more alive. She just feels really good in her own skin again. And so that's exciting too. So, and that infomercial will be out in a couple of weeks. So more of the world will know. Yeah.
Great program. I was at a struggling point in my life when I did that workout program. I was probably one of the worst bouts of colitis for like 6 months. And so I'm like, I'm going to do hardcore. Oh my gosh. It was do my best and forget the rest was totally the embrace there. But awesome program though. Really, really cool. And just a butt kicker in a short time.
Yeah. It has to be for it to work. Yep.
Yeah. So cool. Well, Tony, thanks so much for coming on here. You absolutely rock. I can see why this course is going to be really successful. I mean, the things that you put out, you make it so relatable and just fun for people. And I think that just resonates and clicks. I know from the very first time that I was eating my third bowl of cereal, sitting with a big, huge beer gut on the couch, seeing this guy doing this weird resistance band thing called Power 90. And I'm like, that looks like something I can do. And I think that guy can help me do it. And haven't stopped since because of what you've been able to teach us and do. And it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you, Perry. Great seeing you as always, man. We always catch each other at some event and give each other a hug. And it's nice, man, because you've been there from the very beginning. You didn't come and go. You just you bought in, and it's done so much for you in your life. And you're helping so many of the people, just through coaching and through this process. And it's interesting. I think the reason why I did this course for Brendan more than anything else is because of the fact that a lot of people who do P90X or even any other Beachbody program, they don't have the mindset to sort of stick with it long term. And I hate to see people, I hate going to an event and seeing somebody who's like, wow, I remember when you used to be ripped. And here you are, whatever, a year later, and it's obvious you've gained 45 pounds. And when they're standing in front of me, you can see how what's the word? They're so petrified. They just because they look at me and they go, oh my God, remember when you can just feel it, how uncomfortable they are. And I try to be cool about it, but in my eyes, I can't help myself to go, geez, what did you do? You were there, you were living large, you were looking great, you were vibrant. And then, whatever, your girlfriend breaks up with you, you didn't pay your electric bill on time. Any tiny little thing in life can bring you down. And this course is designed to sort of give you yep, this is it. This is what I got to do. This is permanent. And here I go. I'm not going to let that happen to me again. So thank you for letting me talk about the course living large and about my, my skincare line and just sort of my general philosophy. And I'm glad to share it with anybody, brother. And I'm glad to see you.
Well, you out there. So way cool. And our last podcast 500 is, oh my gosh, so awesome. So I hope you'll say this with me. The words are, remember, it's never too late, and it'll be point. But I'm gonna finish out here and say, everyone out there, thank you so much for being a subscriber. I really, really appreciate it. It's so great. If you found this podcast valuable, and I don't know why you wouldn't, make sure you go and share this out there. So appreciate you. And as always, everyone, remember,
it's never too late.
We'll see you next week. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Bye-bye, everybody.